And Calhoun Community College addressing concerns people have over the name of the school. With recent calls to make changes to institution names that reflect the Confederacy, some people want to see Calhoun's name change. The school is named after John C. Calhoun, who was a vice president who defended slavery. A statue of Calhoun was just removed in South Carolina. The college says they are taking these concerns very seriously. All concerns in regards to the name are being forwarded to the chancellor and the board of trustees.